Welcome back to Hashtag History, episode 71.
Whoa.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah. And per usual, I am taking over the first episode of the season 8. Here we are.
You can't see me, but I am just shaking my head in utter disbelief.
Yeah. So before I do get into this episode, can we talk about what we've been up to during our hiatus?
A lot.
Yes.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, we're both tired.
We're exhausted, but all wonderful, fun things that we feel like so thankful and grateful.
For sure.
We just had our first ever virtual live show to celebrate our 2-year podiversary, and that was really fun because we had a lot of really amazing guests and a lot of really awesome people, show up and tune in to the show.
Yeah.
And then we also have done a lot of guest recordings, and we have a lot more guest recordings coming up in the next few weeks for other lovely podcasts that have asked us to come on their show. So just keep watching our Instagram for all those announcements.
Yeah, good times.
It's going to be great. I'm excited.
Very exciting things for sure, but I have something even more exciting to discuss this week. The weird and wondrous World War II tactical deception that was Operation Mincemeat.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Pretty much this is the same response that I had when you text me, like, hey, have you ever heard of Operation Mincemeat? And I think I responded with like,
what the f***? ...
That's how I still feel. And I've never heard of it, and I intentionally did not do any peripheral research.
Love it.
You're going to teach me everything today.
You haven't. You don't know anything.
I know nothing other than it has to do with World War II, and that's because you told me that.
Okay.
You said it's something that happened in World War II. That's all that I retained.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Operation Mincemeat isn't just a funny name that I decided to give this episode. It's the actual name given to the 1943 British deception operation in which, get ready for this.
Yeah.
The corpse of a deceased British homeless man dressed as an officer of the Royal Marines and carrying fabricated correspondence. It gets better. Correspondence about fictitious military plans to invade Sicily was purposefully planted in Nazi-friendly southern Spain in order to convince the Nazis of an impending British invasion and throw them off the track of the true plans for British troop.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure how you could have broken down the sentence differently.
That was one sentence.
Certainly a run-on error, although I don't know where the error was.
Yeah. I'll take that because it was a run-on.
But I don't know where you could have broken that up. And every moment when I thought you were almost done, you were not.
Yeah.
You got me on the deceased British homeless man thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your jaw dropped on that one, and then it just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
We're going to unpack this. It sounds like a movie, and not just your typical historical fiction movie, but like a Quentin Tarantino based on reality, but then it goes way off the wall into like almost fantasy kind of movie.
That is a perfect description.
Yeah. And you said you've never heard of this before.
I don't know anything.
Okay. So before I dig into the details of this very unbelievable moment in World War II history, I believe we have a cocktail.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Hashtag History,
the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
Okay, yes, we have a cocktail, and we have a cocktail.
Yeah.
I think first off, we will start out with, we are starting something new with this season where we have given our listeners the opportunity to sponsor a cocktail, and then we will give you a shout out on air. So if you are also interested in sponsoring a cocktail, you can just head to the link in our bio, and it's there. It's like right at the top. It says buy us a cocktail.
Yeah.
And then you can also head to our website. It's under our support tab. So today's cocktail is sponsored by Alicia from Civics and Coffee. She left a little note along with the donation that says, y'all know you're one of my favorites. Keep it up.
Aww.
So thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Alicia.
You are our first cocktail sponsor. That's really fun. So I don't have anything exciting to share about this cocktail other than that before seeing it, was kind of excited to try it just because like looking at the name of it throws me off, right? But in looking at the actual ingredients, it sounds like it could be nice.
Okay.
but then seeing what it looks like now.
In reality,
I've changed my mind.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're trying today, it's the mincemeat pie cocktail. 2 ounces of rum, 1 spoon, whatever that means, of mincemeat, 1 ounce of apple juice. This is where I made a mistake. I did not purchase apple juice because I have endless bottles of Martinelli's at my house.
But we did open it a day in advance so it would get a little flat.
Yes, and it did not.
No.
It is still very carbonated because then the final ingredient is half an ounce of half and half. What we were hoping to avoid with kind of deflating the Martinelli's was that the carbonation of that wouldn't really counteract with the half and half quite as much as it certainly has, because everything has separated in the glass, and it looks pretty gross.
It looks pretty gross.
Anyway, you shake those first 3 ingredients with ice into, you shake it up, you fine strain it into a glass, and then you float the layer of cream on top. However, that layer of cream has sunk to the bottom.
Yes.
And then you're supposed to garnish it with cinnamon powder. And it does look nice now that we ended up having to take a spoon and like mixing the ingredients back together because they had all separated, and that was very disturbing. Now it looks nice.
Yeah.
And it smells nice.
Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't know what minced meat is, because we actually weren't entirely sure until we got it and like did some not research, but like looked up the ingredients.
Looked at the ingredients on the back of the jar.
Yeah. It's like
it's raisins and spices.
Yeah. It smells like very cinnamony. And then my husband said, oh, it's like chutney.
Yes.
Which I'm like, oh, yeah, it is like chutney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
So.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try this thing.
What's the worst that could happen? Cheers.
The worst that could happen is Vomit.
Okay.
Cheers.
Oh, it's strong. But otherwise it tastes like Christmas.
It tastes like Christmas. It probably would have had a little bit of a better, fruitier taste if I had actually gotten apple juice. But I like it. It tastes like Christmas. I think I would actually do this again with actual apple juice.
Yeah.
For a holiday drink.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with it.
The mincemeat cocktail.
It looks disgusting.
And also now I have a huge jar of mincemeat.
I mean,
it's
like
huge.
baked goods with it or something.
All right.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Oh, rating.
Oh, yes. Shockingly, like slightly above average. I'd say 6.
I'd say 7.
Yeah.
I'd say 7. I almost wonder, can you warm this up? Can you drink it warm?
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Because that would be like an apple cidery.
Yeah, I think
kind of
you're
drink
right about the juice will probably just make it
better. All right. Well,
okay. We'll learn from our mistakes if you ever drink this.
Yeah.
Don't recommend Martinelli's.
No.
Just for looks.
For looks. Don't recommend going the lazy route where I just grabbed what I already had at the house.
I mean, that's what I do 90% of the time, so it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, good. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to enjoy it as you teach me all the things.
Okay. We're learning things today. So first I'm going to go into the inspiration for this tactical plan.
Okay.
Which I know doesn't sound fun.
No, and I know for a fact that that's why I don't know about this incident at all. Other than that, it's probably just not like a well-known incident.
Yeah.
But because while I'm fascinated with like World War II history, the piece that I know almost nothing about with World War II history is the tactical battle stuff.
Yeah.
Ask me any like random detail or like overarching World War II conflicts. I got you.
Yes, but the actual like tactical, like who was moving where on what front.
100% glazed over.
Okay. So in September of 1939, at the onset of the Second World War, a rear admiral of the British Navy published a memo, the Trout Memo, which is, sounds
great. The
great.
names are always great.
Yeah, which is now thought to have been written by his lieutenant commander, Ian Fleming, who you might recognize that name as the eventual creator of James Bond.
Okay. I mean, I recognize the name, but didn't assume it was the same person.
Yeah, so apparently there's like historians now that like know Ian Fleming's writing, like absolutely, and they're like, there's no question this was written by this man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the Trout Memo compared wartime deceptions to fly fishing and contained 51 schemes to be considered for use against the Axis powers, including one titled, quote, a suggestion, parentheses, not a very nice one.
That's what it's called.
Yes.
Great.
In which misleading papers could be planted on a corpse to be found by the enemy intentionally. So, as author/former airman Basil Thompson once wrote when he was referencing this memo, the Trout memo, he said, "I understand there is no difficulty in obtaining corpses at the Naval Hospital, but of course, it would have to be a fresh one."
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was gross. It gets grosser.
Oh my God.
So this memo served as the initial inspiration for what would eventually become Operation Mincemeat. The second bit of inspiration for it occurred in 1942 when an actual double agent was shot down off the coast of Spain carrying secret British military documents and correspondence. So the body of this agent was returned to the British because Spain was technically officially neutral at the time, though they were known to be unofficial allies with Hitler. So the body was returned to the British with these documents appearing to be unopened, but somehow, quelle surprise, some of the contents of these documents had made their way to the Nazis. So this incident really showed the British that materials obtained by the Spanish were being passed to the Germans.
Oh my God. This is fascinating.
Yeah. A month after this incident, British intelligence officer Charles, Chumley, I just have to say, I'm going to struggle every time and pause before I say his name every time because it's spelled Cholmondeley.
Yeah.
But it's Chumley.
It's pronounced Chumley?
Yeah.
Oh, see, we have notes, right? So I can like see her notes a little bit as she's putting this together. And I saw in parentheses that she wrote Chumley. I thought that was just the nickname you were giving
like a
him.
nickname. No.
It's pronounced Chumley.
That's actually how it's pronounced.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that guy, a British intelligence officer, Chumley, took this inspiration and ran with it and presented his plans to the XX or 20 committee, who were known for overseeing British espionage during World War II. XX or 20. I'll probably call them both things throughout this whole thing. I would love for you to read for our audience an excerpt from his initial plan.
Okay, I can tell by the look on your face that this is going to be a doozy.
No, it's not. It's not a doozy. It's just like...
Outrageous?
It's just outrageous.
Okay. So here's the quote. "A body is obtained from one of London's hospitals. The lungs are filled with water and the documents are disposed in an inside pocket. The body is then dropped by a coastal command aircraft. On being found, the supposition in the enemy's mind may well be that one of our aircrafts has either been shot or forced down and that this is one of their passengers."
And this is like an official document that someone wrote.
Filling lungs with water. Got it. Okay.
So Chumley's initial plan, which he referred to as a like Trojan horse inspired plan, it was turned down.
Those are the vibes I've been getting this whole time.
Yeah, it was turned down by the XX committee, but they did acknowledge the idea behind it. It had some merit.
Sure.
And so
worth not throwing away.
Exploring.
Worth considering.
Yes. So Ewan Montague, and I love the name Ewan because it just makes me think of McGregor.
Yes.
So Ewan, the naval representative on the committee, I'm on a first name basis with him. He was assigned to work with Chumley to develop the plan further.
Speaking, because we're a history podcast, so I'm sure that most of our listeners have watched Pawn Stars on the History Channel. There's a guy on it called Chumley, and that's what I think of every time you say Chumley.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Another thing to giggle at when we say that name.
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason that Ewan was assigned to this role is because there was like a naval aspect to it. So he was like the naval guy in charge that was on this committee, and that's why they chose him.
Got it.
So fun side note that I learned on the Stuff You Should Know Selects episode on this subject, which is actually one of the first time, like what inspired me to do this episode and where I heard the story first.
Cool.
So they found out that apparently Ewan Montague and his brother were known for creating the rules for ping pong, or AKA table tennis. Like they invented the rules for ping pong.
Okay. Fascinating.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
So now we're going to get into a little bit of the military background at the time, like what was going on. Yeah, it's fun, really fun stuff for us to get into.
Okay.
So before I move forward, I have to give a little bit of a bigger picture, obviously, of what was happening in the war and the British involvement in it. So Prime Minister Winston Churchill, he wanted to use Allied troops to attack what he called the soft underbelly of Nazi-controlled Europe.
Can I interject to say something that's on topic but off topic?
100%.
When Alex and I went to London in 2019, they had just opened up Winston's war rooms, which were so cool. So you go like underground into his war rooms. So cool. I feel like maybe it cost like £10 or something like that. Like it was like a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah.
We go in. This thing is massive to where like we spent almost probably total like 2 to 3 hours in this place, right? We were not expecting it to be that big.
Oh my gosh.
And you have the headsets and you're like listening and walking through.
Yeah.
So you get in, it's like 2+ hours already. They lead you out into this hallway where they have like a lunch room or something, like a little snack bar or something, which at that point, I mean, it's like perfect marketing or like perfect. It's a perfect strategy because at that point you are starving and you've only made it halfway through the building.
Oh my god!
So it's like it was a pretty lame sandwich and like a bag of chips. It literally was like
spent $100 on it.
You would have. I probably spent more on my lunch that day than I did on the ticket to get into the place.
Yeah,
but we still talk about that all the time. That was like perfect.
Yeah,
perfect marketing because at that point. You're only halfway through and you've been inside for at least 2 hours already.
And that's the only option
and
for
that
food.
Is your only option for at least the next 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing, right?
Really good way to sell subpar food for probably a lot of money.
A lot of money. And we're talking straight just like white bread with one slice of ham on it.
You'd like any mayo?
I do remember it being particularly dry.
Yeah, they usually are. Sadly.
Anyway, that's my Winston Churchill reference.
I love it.
Yeah. It was an amazing museum. I will say, like, it was one of the best museums
just
I've
like
ever been to.
Snacks, except you're not allowed to bring snacks, I would assume.
Eat a buffet before you go inside.
Okay, a big buffet. Got it.
There's your tip.
Okay. So Winston wanted to, again, attack the soft underbelly of Nazi-controlled Europe. So the only two realistic options for this at the time were Sicily, an island off the peninsula of Italy, for those who don't know. Yeah. Do you ever think of it like
yes.
that? Okay. Is it just me?
No.
Okay.
100%.
Or the other option was Greece and the Balkans area coming in through that way.
Okay.
Taking Sicily would open up the Mediterranean to the Allies for like trade and getting things in, while Greece, the benefit of going that way would, quote, trap the Germans between the British who were invading from Greece, the Soviets who were on the northeast, and then the Americans who were attacking from the Pacific. So it would kind of like start encroaching on them in all directions.
Major props. Of course, you know this, giant history nerd. This stuff I always gloss over.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful description.
Thank
I
you.
followed all of it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So at the Casablanca Conference in January of 1943, Allied leaders decided to move forward with the plan to invade Sicily. Mm-hmm. So they codenamed the plan Operation Husky. That's not really important. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, of course.
And determined they wanted to do it no later than July of that year.
Okay.
So there was a concern among the Allied planners that Sicily was too obvious a choice. Apparently, Churchill was even quoted to have said, "Everyone but a bloody fool would know it was Sicily." Mm-hmm. So it was really clear that some espionage, some diversions, and some, quote, corkscrew thinking, as Churchill put it, would be required to throw Hitler off of this plan. So Operation Mincemeat was just one of apparently many espionage plans hatched by the British and the Allies to throw Hitler off their trail.
I love this. I'm going to be honest. You told me very briefly about the incident. I was like, that's fascinating because I know nothing about it. I love this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then you were like, yeah, it's like a World War II tactic or something. I was like, oh, God.
You're like, ugh.
I'm loving this episode.
Okay.
This is really fun.
I'm glad.
I mean, it's disgusting, but it's very fun.
Yeah. No, yeah. Okay.
It's horrible, but it's great.
This is when it gets into like the actual gross, like, ew, stuff.
Got it.
So the development and execution of this plan. So Montague and Chumley were tasked to make their initial plans come to fruition by the 20 or the XX committee. And now they had a timeline on it. They had to do it quickly.
Right.
So as a reminder, it was January of 43 that Sicily was officially decided on as the British point of attack. And they wanted to do it by July of that same year. So for this plan to work, they had to convince the Nazis without a doubt that the opposite was happening and give them time to react accordingly.
Yeah.
So it was determined that this operation had to take place no later than May of 1943, giving this team only a few months to plan and execute the whole thing. So just for fun, I've included a photo of Montague and Chumley just so we can look at it and talk about them.
Okay. Wow. Not sure who was who.
No, I don't know.
But the one that's closest. So, military vehicle.
Yep.
Two guys
Yep.
standing next to it. One is cheesing.
Yeah.
He's cheesing.
Yeah. He is happy to be there.
Yeah.
Happy
Okay.
with what's happening.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that's them. Just like two white dudes standing in front of a car.
Yeah. That's what that was a picture of.
So first, before getting too deep into planning, it was determined that delivering the corpse off the coast of Spain was the best bet for the operation. And I'll get into that, why and how that decision was made in more detail later.
Okay.
The first one being, obviously, they found out Spain is clearly feeding our information to the Nazis.
The Nazis. Mm-hmm.
Now, before being able to acquire a corpse to drop in Nazi hands, Montague and Chumley had to craft a plan for where and how to get the cadaver. They were advised by Major Frank Foley, who was an MI6 representative, and Sir Bernard Spilsbury, a pathologist. The names I know. Yeah, so he was a pathologist. They were advised by these two on specifically what type of corpse they would need to trick Nazi agents.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Spilsbury informed them that people who die in air crashes don't usually have lungs full of water, as Chumley originally thought and was planning for. Because if they die in the water, they often die from the shock of hitting the water or from just shock instead of drowning, actually.
Got it. Wow.
He also added that Spaniards were often averse to postmortems as they primarily were Roman Catholic and didn't do autopsies unless it was absolutely necessary. This meant the corpse could have suffered one of any different cause of death. It didn't have to be drowning.
Okay.
So it actually opened up opportunities to them.
Beautiful.
This
is fascinating.
I know. Like the planning that went into this is just like mind-boggling. Oh, someone had to sit there and they got paid to like discuss this.
I love that you said that because I oftentimes find myself at work in meetings that are like, we literally talk in circles for an hour about something that's so stupid. It's like, so should we print these documents on purple paper or pink paper?
Yeah.
I just can't decide, right?
Yeah.
That's obviously an exaggerated example, but not like crazy exaggerated. That's pretty close to a lot of the meetings that I'm a part of, right?
Yeah.
This is like just fascinating. Like, let's talk about, should we put, water in the lungs? Yes.
No. Pros, cons. Let's talk about
Let's
it.
circle back.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're getting a lot of synergy right now. We'll circle back, touch base tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they set out to obtain said corpse, right? Their first stop was Bentley Purchase, the coroner for the Northern District of London, who outlined some problems with this plan, stating, even with bodies all over the place, they're everywhere. Each one has to be accounted for.
That's been kind of my question this whole time. How do they just get a is the word I want rogue body,
Yeah.
random body that is
That
not
nobody
accounted
wants to
for,
claim.
that no family ever learns that their loved one died in the course of battle.
Oh, well, get ready.
Oh.
So this doctor, this coroner, still promised to keep an eye out for a body that was suitable for their needs and who had no family to claim it for burial. And shortly thereafter, Purchase did just that. He contacted Montague and Chumley, letting them know that he had located a suitable body. It was apparently a, quote, tramp, and I'm going to use that a lot because that's what they used to call homeless people, who died from eating rat poison.
Oh, God.
Purchase assured them that the small amount of poison in the corpse's system would not be identifiable in a body that was found floating in the sea for several days. And then he also agreed to keep the body in his mortuary fridge at the temperature of 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Oof. It was probably actually something Celsius there, but I don't.
Right.
I did
our version, our
version.
versions.
Yeah. Any colder and the flesh would freeze.
Ugh.
Yeah, gross. And any warmer, and obviously it wouldn't last till when they needed it.
Okay.
But he did warn that the body should be used within 3 months. Any later, and decomposition would set in regardless of the temperature he's keeping it at.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm wondering, is the rat poison thing going to come up later again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I could tell by the way you said it that he said that, you wouldn't be able to determine that this guy had died by rat poison.
I mean, that doesn't come up anymore, but how the guy ingested rat poison will be coming up.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no.
I know that obviously technologies are not, in the 40s where they are, or 30s, 40s, right? Where they are now, that you can determine a lot of, not always still today, but a lot of the time you can determine exactly cause of death, time of death, all that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't know. It just kind of boggles my mind that someone ingested rat poison.
And that you wouldn't be able to tell that.
Yeah. I mean, not a medical professional.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they were running like chem tests. You know what I mean? Like testing the blood for poison back then. But I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe they were.
Well, hello there. Do you wish your high school history course had more drinking, more swearing, and more ladies?
Well, do we have the show for you? Her Story on the Rocks is a long-form podcast talking about good women, bad women, fictional women, and non-fictional women from all times and places.
Basically, each week we pair two women who we research with a themed signature cocktail.
You won't be sorry you listened to our latest episode.
Available everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Cheers!
So it should be noted that Montague, who was, Montague and Chumley, one of the two guys running this whole thing, he refused to release the identity of the corpse for like decades, stating he was, quote, a bit of a ne'er-do-well, and that the only worthwhile thing he ever did, he did after his death.
Oh, wow.
Which, like, harsh, Montague. Gosh.
Not okay.
Yeah. So the corpse went unidentified for decades until in 1996, an amateur historian from London, Roger Morgan, uncovered evidence identifying the corpse as, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but I'm going to give it a shot, Glindwer Michael?
That's how I would have pronounced it.
Okay.
Loving that an amateur historian is the one that determined this.
Yeah, that'd be like you, just like, let me do some digging. Yeah, it's this guy. So I just want to give a little info on Michael, the quote tramp, because despite him never knowing it, he was a big part of this little part of history, and I think his story deserves to be told despite him being a quote ne'er-do-well, as Montague put it.
Wow. Who knows? In the afterlife, maybe he does know what they were doing with his body.
Yeah, that's true. So Glindwer Michael was born in South Wales and worked as a gardener and a laborer. His father killed himself when Michael was only 15, and his mother died when he was 31. These events apparently left Michael very depressed and very lonely, and he ended up homeless and eventually drifted to London, where he was known to live on the streets. So, like, just not a happy story altogether.
But that doesn't make him useless or pointless.
No,
and that
absolutely.
His life didn't have worth and value.
Exactly. So when he was 34, he was found at King's Cross Station, very ill, having ingested rat poison.
I know a lot about King's Cross Station. We're reading Harry Potter right now.
Oh, yeah.
Rereading Harry Potter for me.
Because Alex has never read it,
He's
right?
never... Have I...
I think I heard you telling someone else that.
Yeah, my husband is reading Harry Potter for the first time. We're having so much fun together.
I am very happy. Like, I'm very excited to hear this.
We are having so much fun doing it because we decided something, a goal that we need to have is instead of, scrolling through our phones right before we go to sleep every night, we should read a little bit before we go to sleep.
Too.
I know you
30 minutes before bedtime.
And that's so good. Like, I know you do that, and I have another friend that does that. So you guys, like, inspired me. Like, we need to not be scrolling our phones right before we go to bed.
Yeah.
Or like watching Catfish or something before we go to bed.
I will say on weekends we let ourselves like watch TV or whatever.
Yeah. So what we've been doing is reading, and I've been dying for him to read Harry Potter forever and ever.
Has he ever seen the movies at least? Oh my God.
He's a Harry Potter virgin.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, we're like barely into the first one. Harry just... Spoiler alert. Harry just went to Hogwarts. And, like, he just got there, right? He's on the train. Well, they're on the train right now. Anyway, that was a tangent.
Yeah.
King's Cross Station, I'm familiar.
Yeah. So when he was 34, Michael was found at King's Cross Station having ingested rat poison. It was speculated that he might have tried to commit suicide by ingesting this rat poison, but others argue that he ingested the poison from eating a piece of bread that was like smeared with rat poison to attract rats.
Yeah.
So it was just like he was really f***ing hungry and just ate a piece of bread because he was desperate.
Yes.
The poison affected his liver enough that he died some days later after ingesting it. And that's the end of Michael's story.
That is so devastating.
Yeah.
Just painfully dying at the train station.
Alone.
For several days.
Yeah.
That's devastating.
So back to the plan.
Yes.
In order for their plan to work, Montague and Chumley had to come up with a fake identity and a believable backstory for this now newly acquired corpse they had. They assembled a crack team.
I already knew you were going to say it like that. So did you see me do like a little movement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they assembled this team to help them, come up with this plan for the corpse and this identity for the corpse. And this team named the corpse Captain Acting Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. Martin was chosen because that was a common name amongst men of that rank in the Royal Marines. So they put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah,
They actually
that
found,
was part of the meetings.
Yeah.
They went through like a baby name dictionary.
Yeah. And what's the most common name amongst Marines?
Yeah. Amazing.
And that was apparently one of them.
That was probably one of the subcommittees.
Yeah. So acting major, they decided to do that so that it could be believed that he had been entrusted with sensitive documents, but not so prominent in the Marines that anyone would expect to recognize his name or know who he was. So they were really, really thinking through this.
I'm serious that this was multiple meetings.
Yeah.
Where they cracked open the books.
Yeah.
They looked through the data.
Today we're discussing what are we naming this guy?
And those are the meetings where you're sitting there oh my God, my job sucks. What I do is useless. But it came to fruition.
Apparently, though, from what I heard from that podcast I told you about, the Things You Should Know, that did a cover of this, the team loved it. They thought it was just a gas. They felt like spies and they were coming up with all these really interesting backstories and stuff. So they were into it.
Cool.
To further cement the impression that Martin was a real person, the team came up with further backstory and proof to be found on the body when it was discovered. They planned for what is called pocket litter.
Okay.
That included a photograph from an invented fiance named Pam. They created a whole backstory for Pam. The image was actually of an MI5 clerk named Jean Leslie, who was working on the team. And she was just absolutely giddy at the idea of being involved, apparently. 2 love letters from Pam, aka Jean, were also included in Martin's pocket litter, along with a receipt for a diamond engagement ring.
Oh my God, they put together a receipt.
Additional personal correspondence from Martin's fictitious father, a message from a bank demanding payment of an overdraft. This
is amazing.
Yeah, they had put a stamp book, cigarettes, and then train ticket stubs, and just that's not all of it. It keeps going.
This is amazing because I can see exactly what you said, being excited to be on this project. Imagine you're a clerk. A lot of what you do is data entry, and then they're hey, could you create fake receipts and fake train ticket stubs? Of course I can.
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun.
Or let's get together and brainstorm. What do you have in your pockets all day?
Oh, I mean, that's what I was just thinking. If someone found my purse right now,
What would be in there? Receipts that you've never
Potentially.
looked at from Carl's Jr.
excuse me, Jack in the box. But yeah, receipts, gum wrappers, pictures of loved ones.
Yeah.
That's mostly it, right? I mean, and then the standard stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to take a look at the image of Jean/Pam before we move on?
Of course. I can't wait to see her.
Okay.
Okay.
Little cutie patootie. Look at her.
I guess I was expecting to be almost more like a school photo, posed, kind of whatever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
no, she's this is the type of picture that you would keep of your fiance.
Yeah.
They thought through this a lot.
Yeah.
This is the picture you'd keep of your fiance in your pocket or whatever. Yeah. She's cute. She's at the beach with her towel kind of posing in front of the water.
Yeah.
Quirky. I don't want to say she looks particularly sexy, but
No.
if that's your fiance, she looks gorge and
Yeah.
you love her. And that is exactly the picture you would have. Wow. They've thought about this a lot.
Yeah, they really did.
Wow.
So this team went to pretty extraordinary lengths to assure their story and their corpse was believable, obviously. We've already gone through part of that.
Yeah.
They went so far as to ask scientists to conduct tests on which type of existing inks would last longest in the water, to assure the fake letters that were going to be part of this pocket litter were legible if and when they were found.
God, can you imagine that being part of your job? Can you put together a super racy love letter?
No, yeah. No, they spent hours drafting these love letters.
I'm not kidding if like, okay, they're delegating the tasks to the team. Mm-hmm. We need someone to get a hot picture in front of the beach.
Yeah.
We need someone to put together the receipts and the ticket stubs. We need someone to write the love letters. I'm like, oh my God, please, can I be on the love letter team?
Yeah.
Can I please? Mm-hmm. Please.
Yeah.
Loving this. Hating this. Loving this.
Yeah. They apparently tried photographing the corpse to create a naval identity card, but it ended up looking a little too corpsey. So instead, Montague and Chumley searched for someone who resembled the corpse, and they ended up finding Captain Ronnie Reed, who was part of MI5, to fit the bill. Reed agreed to be photographed for this identity card, donning a Royal Marine uniform for the occasion. There was a problem, though. The cards looked too new.
Sure.
For a long-serving officer.
Yes.
Solution: the team issued the faux cards as replacement cards for the lost originals, and then Montague went so far as to spend the next 3 weeks rubbing the cards on his trousers to give them at least some believable wear and tear. So they're like thinking. I'm like so impressed.
This would be a very fun team to be a part of.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine being the person that made that contribution? Like, hi, loving the idea everyone has about this card. Great idea, Joseph. Great idea. However, don't you think it should be a little crinkled at the corners?
Yeah, like it looks new, brand new.
Yeah. And then everyone being like, oh my God, she's a genius.
You're a genius.
You're a genius. This entire plan would have been foiled without that contribution. I love this.
So Chumley, on the other hand, decided to focus his efforts on the uniform.
Okay.
Similarly,
He's on the uniform subcommittee.
Yeah, he was on the uniform subcommittee. And similar to the ID card, he was concerned that it wasn't going to look well worn enough. So
Tell me he slept in it.
being of a similar build as the corpse, Chumley wore the uniform that would eventually end up on said corpse around the office, not to bed.
Okay.
But he did this for weeks.
That would be the position almost more than the love letters that I would want. You don't have to pick your outfit every single day for the office. You wear the exact same thing every day, and it's for critical mission.
Yes. Very important. So it gets even better. Or worse, depending on your sense of humor. They procured a pair of underwear from the late Herbert Fisher. Why from him? I don't know. And he was the warden of the New College of Oxford, and they did this so as not to have too fresh a pair on the corpse.
Of course, you could not purchase brand new underwear. Did this, I'm using the term that they were using at this time, this tramp person, perhaps he wasn't wearing underwear? Or was his underwear identifiable that like you didn't, this was military issued?
Maybe it was like
soils?
Stains on it or
Got
something.
it. Okay.
Like
Got it.
track marks.
Sort of answered my own question, but also did not.
Yeah. Many questions here.
Yep.
The main documents meant to be found on the corpse was a personal letter from Lieutenant General Sir Archibald Nye, a very British-sounding man,
Yeah.
who was the vice chief of the Imperial General Staff. So Nye had a deep knowledge of ongoing military operations at the time, and the letter was to General Sir Harold Alexander, commander of the Anglo-American 18th Army Group in Algeria and Tunisia under General Eisenhower. So this corpse was supposed to be like just the guy carrying this letter from one higher up to another higher up. Okay. So after several failed attempts at drafting this letter, it was suggested that Nye, the guy it was actually supposed to be from, should just draw up the letter himself to make it sound more natural.
Sure.
Yeah. So Nye ended up writing a completely fake letter containing several sensitive subjects, including the unwanted award of Purple Heart medals by the U.S. forces to several British servicemen who were serving with them, and the appointment of a new commander of the Brigade of Guards. Montague was very satisfied with this resulting letter. The key part of the letter stated, Rachel, do you want to read?
Okay. I'm ready. I'm just envisioning if I were like creating a fake letter where it's like obviously the important information is in there,
But you have to like
but
throw
it's
in like,
throughout, like, oh my
the U.S.
God.
awarded Purple Hearts to our guys.
So annoying.
So annoying.
Trying to throw in like random stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the letter, or the excerpt from the letter. We have recent information that the Boche the Germans, have been reinforcing and strengthening their defenses in Greece and Crete, and CIGS, Chief of the Imperial General Staff, felt that our forces for the assault were insufficient. It was agreed by the chiefs of staff that the 5th Division should be reinforced by 1 brigade group for the assault on the beach south of Cape Irexos, and that a similar reinforcement should be made for the 56th Division of Kalamata.
Yeah.
Did I say all that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so yeah, got it. Key components, those were the details.
Yeah. So it's basically just like the letter stated that plans were to go through Greece with like Greece as the target place to attack, and that they were proceeding and that they needed to bulk up their efforts there to be sufficient to beat German forces.
Got it. Okay.
Just, putting it in like 21st century terms.
Thank you.
There was a second letter as well from Corpsey Martin's fictitious commanding officer.
Corpsey Martin.
Introducing Martin to Admiral of the Fleet Sir Andrew Cunningham, the Commander-in-Chief Mediterranean Fleet and Allied Naval Commander in the Mediterranean. I swear some of these titles are just too dang much.
They're a lot.
It's like, calm yourself, Sir General Major Hubris of the 4th Battalion of Wankers. Like,
Double-sided business cards over here.
like you need all that.
What is
Do you
it?
need
What
that?
is it? Assistant to the assistant man. Or wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember now.
Assistant to the manager instead of assistant manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Assistant to the office manager.
Yeah.
Loving
Something like
it.
that. Anyways, this introductory letter included what is often described as intentionally clumsy joke about sardines, which Montague inserted in the hopes that the Germans would see it as a reference to a planned invasion of Sardinia.
Okay.
Just to throw them off even more.
Cool.
As a final touch, a single black eyelash was sprinkled within these letters. This was so if and when the body was returned to the British, they could determine if the letters were opened by seeing if the eyelash was still inside. Kind of like if you ever went on like high school trips or something, like co-ed trips out of town, they would like put blue tape over the door to know if you exited your room after like curfew.
I didn't.
I don't know that I ever did either, but people told me about this. Like
Okay.
they would put a piece of tape over your door.
Yeah, to see
and then
if
if
you
it
had
was
ever
broken
left.
in the morning, they would
Funny.
know.
Funny.
Bitch left.
Okay. And like these days, you would call that a red receipt. I can see that you've seen my text message.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot more details went into this whole thing, including drafting additional supporting letters, placing the letters in a briefcase, and deciding whether said briefcase should be clutched in the corpse's hand or attached via handcuff system, like banks do with their valuables while transporting stuff. But I figure our listeners have lives. Unlike the folks who actually planned this operation. So I should just get on with it.
Okay.
Let's get on. So Huelva, Spain was decided upon as the best place to drop the corpse. Firstly, the Spanish were known for Nazi sympathies, as we said before, despite being officially neutral in the war. Also, tides and currents could easily push a corpse to shore to be discovered in the Huelva area. And to top it all off, a very active, very well-known Nazi agent named Adolf Klaus was known to be in Huelva at the time and was also known to be incredibly straightforward and gullible. So, like, perfect.
Yeah. Literally perfect.
To transport the body, it was determined that the submarine would be the best and safest bet to go undetected while delivering the body. A lot of consideration also went into this phase of planning, including needing the corpse to be in an airtight container on the outside of the submarine, keeping the corpse fresh during the voyage and not affecting the equipment or navigation of said submarine. But again, I'm not going to go into all of the detail on all of that. And with that, the plan was ready to hatch, but it needed final approval from the Prime Minister. When told in detail about the plan and the many possibilities of failure, such as, for instance, the Spanish passing the body back to the British without reading the letters.
Yes. I mean, that's what I've been thinking this whole time. Is like, oh my God,
They do all this.
So much went into it. Or, you know.
Yeah. Churchill replied, "In that case, we shall have to get the body back and give it another swim."
Ooh.
And he gave this plan his stamp of approval, but delegated the final confirmation to Eisenhower, who was the military commander in the Mediterranean at the time, whose plan to invade Sicily would be affected should this operation fail. And I guess Eisenhower approved. I never actually saw that in writing, but the plan moved forward. So on the morning of April 17th, 1943, the corpse of Glendower Michael was dressed as Captain Acting Major William Martin. Upon preparing the corpse, it was discovered that his feet had frozen during the time he was kept in the freezer, and they struggled, but eventually succeeded in getting his boots on.
Oh my gosh. Is that not the point where you're like, this plan isn't going to work?
Yeah. I mean, think about us. How would we'd just be like pacing back and forth.
Oh my God. Freaking out. Well, I mean, but seriously, like that's the point where like this blows. That was a waste of 3 months of meetings or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can't, I mean, I'm going to listen because obviously they do.
Yeah, they got it
I just feel like you're still going to send the corpse over. And if someone really is like looking at this guy, they're not going to notice that his feet are blue.
Yeah. Well, remember, the body's going to be floated in the ocean for who knows how many days.
Okay, so maybe, to be honest, yeah, despite all the crime shows that I've watched and podcasts that I've listened to, if I, God forbid, found a body in the ocean, I would not be able to right away detect, like, this guy didn't drown.
Yeah,
or, his feet are frozen. That's not right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The aforementioned pocket litter was placed on the body, and the handcuffed briefcase was attached. The body was placed in the airtight canister along with 21 pounds of dry ice, which did some chemically stuff to keep out oxygen and preserve the body without refrigeration.
Okay.
The canister was transported by car up to Scotland by a former racing champion, apparently, random, and then taken on board the HMS Seraph submarine. The crew was told the canister contained a top-secret meteorological device to deploy near Spain, so even they were kept in the dark. On April 19th, the submarine set sail and arrived off the coast of Huelva on the 29th of April after having survived several bombings along the way. The body was lowered into the water.
I'm just imagining all of this work.
I know.
And then can you imagine on like day 2, the body gets blown up or something like, oh my God.
Like, or like it's like carried on the side of the boat and like something happens where it just accidentally, bloop, into the water. Just like, oh.
I almost wish that's how this episode ended. And that's it. See you guys next week. Bye.
The body was lowered into the water and the engines were revved to full power to push the corpse towards shore. The canister was disposed of further out at sea, and then the captain of the submarine, Captain Jewell, sent a message to Admiralty stating mincemeat completed. And now all there was to do was wait.
My mincemeat is completed too. Ding, ding.
So here's the outcome of all this. The body of Major Martin was found on April 30th, 1943 by a local fisherman and taken to Huelva by the Spanish. British vice consul to Spain, Hansleton, was informed by the Spaniards that the body had been found, and he in turn reported to British leadership the same news. A series of pre-scripted cables were sent between Hansleton and his superiors, further cementing the ruse that the body was real and that the contents of the briefcase he carried was important. So Hansleton was in on this. Like, he knew it was happening.
Great.
These cables were encrypted, but the British knew at this time that the Germans had broken the specific code they were using and used this to their advantage.
Of course. They wanted them to be able to break the code or wanted them to be able to read it.
Yeah. For any of our listeners who are feeling a vague sense of deja vu talking about like encryption and code breaking during World War II, I suggest you listen to our episode about Alan Turing, because it was actually his invention, the Enigma, that was able to intercept German codes and encrypted messages and was kind of an unsung hero of this whole operation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool connection.
Yeah. So this pre-scripted correspondence went on for a couple days until May 1st. An autopsy was conducted on the body in Spain.
Wow.
So Hansleton was present and urged the doctors conducting the autopsy to hurry it along due to the smell.
Of course. Don't pay too much attention. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, I think I remember reading he even was like, "Are you guys hungry? Let's go eat some sandwiches." Or it was something like that.
So great.
They agreed, and they signed a death certificate listing the cause of death as asphyxiation through immersion to the sea. With that, the body was released by the Spanish, and it was promptly buried in Huelva on May 2nd. The Spanish weren't so quick to return the briefcase, though. They retained it, and despite pressure from Adolf Klaus, the Nazi agent who we talked about being very gullible and being in Huelva at the time, they actually did not initially hand it over to the Germans. But eventually they did.
Okay.
They opened the letters, they took photos, and passed all the information along to the Nazis on May 8th. The briefcase was eventually returned to Hanselden by Spanish authorities with the letters resealed, and then it was sent back to London for forensic examination.
Wow.
So
I'm almost like kind of happy that this all, like, they took it as seriously as this team that put this together.
Oh, yeah.
I guess just in my mind, I was like, wow, they're spending a lot of time on something that
like
maybe
won't work.
Won't work.
Yeah. So on receipt of the documents, it was noted that the planted eyelash was in fact missing, proving that the letters had been opened by the Spanish and then given to the Nazis.
Amazing.
Another set of prescripted encrypted messages were sent from London to Hazelden, stating they examined the letters and that they had not been opened. So they further cemented that, like, oh yeah, everything's cool. Mm-hmm. They didn't find our material that, was planted here. So this correspondence was assumed to have been intercepted by the Germans. We don't know for sure, but we think it did. Mm-hmm. Further proof that the Germans had intercepted the letters and all of the other scripted communications came when Bletchley Park decoded a message between the Germans warning that the invasion was to be in the Balkans. As a result, by the end of June 1943, German troops' strength in Sardinia had been doubled to 10,000, with fighter aircraft support as well.
Wow.
2 Panzer divisions, which I don't know what that is, but 2 divisions were also moved to the Balkans from the Eastern Front. German torpedo boats were moved from Sicily to the Greek islands, and 7 German divisions were transferred to Greece, raising the number present there to 8. 10 were posted to the Balkans, raising the number of division there to 18. So, in short, the Germans reacted.
They reacted all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Having the path now cleared by the Germans themselves, the Allies invaded Sicily on July 9th, 1943. Even 4 hours into the attack on Sicily, German troops were being sent to Sardinia because Hitler was convinced the attack was just like a distraction and that the real attack on Sardinia was coming. By the time German high command realized their mistake, it was too late. The attack on Sicily is thought to be a huge turning point for the war. The British decided to go public with the story of Mincemeat. Montagu wrote The Man Who Never Was in 1953, which depicted Operation Mincemeat, but left out a lot of the classified details and obscured the idea of an organized program of strategic deception, with Mincemeat being presented more as like a wild one-off.
Which stinks because then you don't get the credit for all the work he did, but I get why he did that.
Yeah. This book sold 2 million copies and formed the basis for a 1956 film of the same name and then a 1956 episode of The Goon Show. And it also inspired a 2001 play titled Operation Mincemeat.
Wow.
And the list goes on. There's a lot of sources or a lot of media that can be drawn to this.
Wow.
Yeah. The exact impact of Mincemeat on the success of Operation Husky and the invasion of Sicily is impossible to calculate. A lot of other things were at play, including Hitler's distrust of the Spanish politics and other military strategies happening at the same time, but it is still considered to be one of the most successful espionage missions of World War II.
I loved that. I feel like my cheeks actually hurt because I was smiling the entire episode.
Yeah, you were smiling a lot.
Because I loved this. This was fascinating. I did not know. I'm really happy to know something like, I don't know, strategic, tactical about World War II. This was amazing.
Okay.
I loved this so much.
Okay.
This is going up in the top of my favorite episodes. I love this. No, my cheeks hurt.
Oh my gosh.
My cheeks hurt. I loved this episode. This was so fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Hashtag History.
All sources used to put together this episode will be available on our website at hashtaghistory-pod.com. And don't forget to subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use. Share about us with your family and friends, and then give us a rate and review.
The pictures we discussed in this episode will be shared to our Instagram, so be sure to check us out on there at #history_podcast. And we may or may not have just started a TikTok.
We have joined the 21st century.
Yes, yeah. You can find us on there. It's just at #history. All one word.
And then come join us over on our Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can help support our books and booze supply. You also get access to some exclusive behind-the-scenes content. We mail you goodies. We drop weekly #hangout episodes. And then another way that you can support us, again, jumping back to our cocktail segment, we now have it so that you can sponsor a cocktail for one of our episodes. And we would love that so much so that we can give you a thank you and a shout out on air.
Yeah. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye. And I'm Leah. Whoa, why is that black?
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
And I'm Leah.
I won't ever say, and I'm Leah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Asked us to
Purchase assured them to further reimburse.
Interesting.
That was an interesting.
To further push?
Cement the impression that Martin was a real person.
I might have been talking while you were saying that.
I wonder if I was working and there was something about a reimbursement.
Yeah. Amazing.
A pear. I spelled it like the fruit.
I actually didn't even make that connection, probably because you were saying underwear right after. Oh my God, that's so great.
Meteorological